such topic was the music industry, due to an incident that happened in Nigeria, my country. We had to touch upon that industry, and it's gathered a lot of interest. There's a lot of emotions, flying around. People are angry, with the way record labels, so to speak, the way they exploit the youths, and these youths are the creative types. They're the ones that create the music, but unfortunately, they don't get involved in the business side of things. They like lifestyle, I guess. So today I brought a youth. Well, I'll call him a young adult. I'll call him a young adult. I've known him since he was a teenager, and now he's a biggish kind of man, and he's doing quite well. He started a podcast with his friend. He studied music earlier on in his life. I'll leave that to him to tell us. So he studied music, and then he went to university and he studied sound engineering. Okay, so today I've got with me a young man by the name Hakeem. Hakeem, aka, is legacy. I liked that aspect of it. The fact that he branded himself. So his company is called Legacy Music. If you want to follow him, you can check him out on Instagram, legacy_music. I think that's the name he uses across social media. Okay, all right. So Hakeem and his friend runs or hosts a podcast, and that podcast is called Talking the Hardest. So if you want to listen to it, it's available on all the major streaming platforms. It's quite interesting. I didn't think I would enjoy listening to something that is considered for the youths, but I quite enjoy listening to it. And time actually flew. These guys, they chat for 3-4 hours, and I'm like, how am I going to sit down for 3-4 hours and listen? But I did, and it was really, it was quite refreshing. Okay, so without much ado, I want to introduce to you Mr. Hakeem, aka Legacy. So Hakeem, over to you.
Yo, what's up, guys?
Yeah.
Legacy Music here. As you said, yeah, I go by Legacy Music on all platforms. And I do a podcast called Talking the Hardest with my co-host Black English. We talk about music there,
Okay.
Twitter news, anything that revolves around music.
Right.
So anything involving artists, album releases, music releases, that's what we try to do. So we play music on our pod. We try to introduce people to new music.
Okay.
And it's under a platform called Image of God,
Right.
which is the name of the YouTube channel that it releases under.
Okay.
And on that platform, we do interviews for like underground artists in the UK.
Wow.
So there's interviews on there for quite a couple now. I think we've done like maybe I dare say 50 artists.
Wow.
For a while, yeah.
Okay. So what, did they just come along and talk about their music?
Yeah, they talk about their music, how they got into music, where they plan to go, how it's like navigating in the industry at their level.
Right. Okay. All right. Okay. So as you know, this is called the Spearman's Business Show. All right. So we look at things from a business angle, so to speak. Okay. So most of the bias is going to be towards the music side, the actual business side of the music industry. But before we do that, Hakeem, please tell the audience about yourself. How you got into music, how you developed the interest, and how you got to where you are now.
I think my journey for music is pretty simple. I did music in secondary school.
Okay.
Actually, in primary school, I was in the choir.
Wow.
I was in the choir.
Okay.
I'm not too much of a singer, but I did that for a while. And then when I got to secondary school, you do your mandatory music, but then I went on to do it for GCSE.
Wow.
I did music performance because my school was a performing arts school. They did drama and music was the main two, and dancing as well. But I did music performance. So in music performance, you work more with the people on that same subject,
Okay.
where you work to make songs or perform songs in the idea that you're going to perform it.
Right.
So every like month, I think they do a performance, maybe for the parents, maybe for assembly, but that's where they pick people from to do them.
So would that be what an artist does?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a couple people that kind of knew they wanted to do music. So there's a couple people that are really good at playing instruments and stuff like that.
Okay.
It was mandatory to play an instrument if you did it for GCSE. So they started me playing bass guitar.
Wow.
Yeah, I haven't played for a while.
Right. Okay.
They do lessons, take you out of classes to do that.
Are you quite adept at the guitar?
A little bit.
Was it bass?
Bass guitar, a little bit.
Bass.
Yeah.
Okay.
A little bit. And then sixth form, I didn't do music at all, but I knew that I wanted to do sound engineering when I got to uni.
Right.
So I did the subjects that I needed to do that.
Okay.
And then when I got to uni, I started.
And which subjects were those?
Those I did business.
Okay.
And because I did triple science,
Right.
because I had physics,
Okay.
they let me do music.
Oh, right.
Because
Okay.
sound engineering is very physics based.
Oh, so without the physics, you couldn't have.
I wouldn't have been able to
gotten
do
into it.
yeah.
Oh, right. Okay.
So, yeah, always thought I wanted to.
Did you research that? Did you just find out that?
I kind of
needed
just found out
Oh,
that
right,
I needed
okay.
it. I knew I wanted to do something music related when I got to uni, and some things led me to engineering.
Okay.
So when I found out that you could be a sound engineer, I was
Oh,
like,
right.
perfect.
Okay.
That's perfect.
You thought your dad had gone to heaven or something?
Yeah. When I started, I wasn't really too sure what a sound engineer was.
Okay.
I knew that like you have the recording process,
Right.
and you have the mixing and mastering process, which is like the two processes after.
Okay.
I wanted to be a mixing engineer.
Right.
So a mixing engineer is like, the simplest way to describe it is the person that makes sure that all the elements of the song
Mm-hmm.
are audible,
Okay.
clear, and they translate to like different platforms. So like headphones, car speakers, the big speakers you can get. It's the mixing engineer's job
Okay.
to make sure that it's translatable.
Right.
Yeah, so I started that course thinking that it was mainly going to be me doing that. Like they're going to give me songs, practice,
Then you mix it. You mix it, master it. Yeah.
and then go. But it wasn't like that at all.
Okay.
It was
So
actually
what was it like?
a lot of science, a lot of maths.
Okay.
Because you have to know how signals work,
Right.
how electrical components work.
Okay.
The first year we did electronics, digital signal processing,
Wow.
and we did a little bit of live sound. So a sound engineer, the term sound engineer is very broad.
Mm.
So you can have mixing engineers, recording engineers, people that fly like the big speakers in arenas.
Concerts. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
A technician for that. They're all sound engineers. It's all
Wow.
under like that branch.
Wow.
So they kind of taught us all of that throughout
Okay.
the 3 years. Yeah, so we did that. Electronics was more like you have to be like multifaceted if you want to be an engineer.
Okay.
So fixing equipment in the studio if it breaks.
Okay.
If you have a little bit of knowledge, it's easy to do that. Being the mixing side is more about reliability. It's a lot of the time it's about experience. It's something that you can start without going to uni. You don't have to go to uni to be like a mixing engineer.
Okay.
The more you do it, the better you'll get at it because it's a recognition thing.
Right.
The the more you hear music, the more familiar you'll be with how it's supposed to sound.
Okay.
And it's more about knowing the tools that will allow you to get to that place.
Right. Okay.
Um,
So from the way you're sounding, Hakeem, or Legacy, I'll have to get used to calling you Legacy. From the way you're sounding, is it possible that you can have a better ear for the music than the actual artist?
yeah. A lot of times the engineer is the advisor.
Okay.
You'll see that like engineers and producers, what we call a producer now is like the person that makes the beat.
Right.
But back in the day, that was the beat maker and the producer was separate.
So like Dre, what's
Yeah,
was it
like
called?
Dre
Drake.
was both.
Oh, sorry, is it Dre?
Drake.
Sorry, Dr.
Dr.
Dre.
Dre.
Then there's now Drake.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dr. Dre, he was both. He was a beat maker,
Yeah.
but he was also a producer because a producer's job is to structure the
Right.
song.
Right.
Structure the song, maybe advise which instruments to use, like say they want, oh, we need a section to break it down just so the audience can have time to breathe. They'll be the ones making those decisions.
Right.
But nowadays we call the producer and the beat maker is synonymous now.
Right.
It's like one thing.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, you kind of have to be multifaceted in order to do that. But you will have a better ear for music because it's part of your job.
There's so much going on.
Yeah, it's part of your job. Like it in order of like the mixing engineer would add effects to the song.
Okay.
It got to the point where people were learning as we were learning on the course. We'd listen to songs and be like, I know what effect they used, or
Really?
I know how much of the effect they applied, because your ears just get more sensitive to it.
Okay. So that's a bit like doing your research, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, or continuous development.
It's continuous
you know.
development. Like you'll hear a lot of like engineers that have been doing it for a long time. They don't really listen to music in their spare time anymore because they hear so much music.
Oh.
Their ears need to rest.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. That's good. Okay. So one of the things that interested me about the music industry also is that they had some statistics. You know, I was looking at, and they said that the music industry generated revenue of $26 billion in 2021. I mean, that's huge. The UK part of it generated $4 billion. Actually, it used to be more. The UK £4 billion. It used to be 5.8 billion in 2019. So that got me thinking. That's a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
So how do people make money in the music industry?
Do you want to talk about artists specifically, or do you want to talk about the industry in general?
Okay, so let's look at the industry as a big picture, for example, and then in business you've got to look at the stream, the income stream.
Yeah.
Okay, so whether this stream of income from this aspect, from that aspect, from that aspect. So let's look at the big picture and sort of break it down into the streams of income that you could have in the music industry.
From a sound engineer perspective,
Okay.
I'll talk about in the studio.
Right.
I get paid as the sound engineer. I would get paid by hour.
Okay.
So you have the people that's getting paid by hour.
Okay.
Then you have the people that's like getting paid a flat fee. So like a beat maker, perhaps if he sells a beat, he'll get a flat fee.
Right.
But you can also like get deals where you get paid on the back end.
Okay.
Those are two positions where the pay can differ.
Right.
But
Okay.
engineers tend to get paid flat fees.
By who? By who though?
By the artist.
Oh,
Or
by the artist.
Whoever's paying for the studio session. If you pay for the studio session, you pay for the engineer to be at the studio session.
Okay. So as a businessman, I would zero in on that studio. Who owns the studio? Because really, that's the guy who makes all the money. Because everybody goes to him.
Yeah.
Everybody needs the studio. The studio time.
It depends. Most of them are independently owned.
Okay.
You do have like labels that own their studios, that they have studios in the label building and stuff like that.
Okay.
But obviously, because artists travel a lot,
Right.
the majority of the time is if they're signed to a major, it's part of their budget. The studio time that they spend working on a project or making music.
Right.
So there's studios all over.
So
the
they'll
place.
find a studio in a town somewhere,
There's-
and then they'll hire it.
Yeah, there's studios all over the place. I would confidently say that most of the time you see a studio is probably owned by the main sound engineer.
The main sound engineer.
It's probably his studio.
Okay. So are you gonna own a studio one day?
Hopefully, I do want to.
All right. Okay.
But most of the time, you might see people invest in recording studios because they're lucrative.
Right.
And then
People who don't know anything about music.
yeah, they don't know anything, and then they might get a sound engineer that's always there,
Right.
and then you might just pull in some freelance sound engineers, or just make it so that people can book the studio, and then they can, if they have their own engineer.
Okay.
But the studio space is normally separate, and then
Is there a famous one? Any well-known one?
Capital Studios,
Capital Studios.
Abbey Road Studios, where they recorded the
Oh,
Beatles.
that's the one where the zebra crossing is in front.
Yeah, the famous.
Okay.
People might know the famous Beatles picture.
Yes, they were crossing on the zebra crossing. Yes.
Abbey Road Studios is probably one of the most iconic studios
Really?
in the world. Period.
Wow. Okay.
Throughout our course, we heard so much about Abbey Road Studios.
Really?
Yeah, even when
well, you have to, because
have to,
if that's what's going to be your trade, that's what's going to be your bread and butter.
A lot of history was made there, a lot of development. Some of like the leading innovations in studio recording happened there.
Really?
There's like a lot of consulting and acoustics, changing environments, trying to do new things. It happened at Abbey Road.
Really? Wow, this is a science, I mean, we just get little nuggets of how these things are put together. But now you're really exposing, giving us an expose on these things. Okay, all right. So how much investment will be involved in a studio, for example?
I had someone ask me if I could design a studio previously.
Oh, design a studio.
Yeah, because part of the course was doing acoustics.
Right.
So you know how to like build the studios and stuff.
So whatever you do, don't design that studio for him. Just tell him to give you the money. Just go and find the money and design the studio yourself.
I would say, if for someone starting out, if you have a space already, a decently big space, that space could be converted to a studio for around, I'll say on the low end, 10K.
10K
at the start. I'll say.
Okay, is that just a refurbishment or the actual equipment to equip it, to kit it out?
Not to kit it out.
Right.
The building.
Okay, the building.
The room.
Okay.
The recording booth. The acoustic treatment that goes around.
Right.
I'll say low end 10K, but you can get studios that go to like $1 million.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. Yes.
Very easily, but as long as you have a space that's acoustically sound, the majority of the money will be spent on equipment, and I say you could easily spend another 6 to 8K on equipment alone.
On equipment. Okay, so what sort of equipment are we talking about?
Microphones, computers, screens. If it's like a proper studio where people are coming, like keyboards, all of that. Like for music, equipment, the more expensive the equipment is, the better it is in general up to a certain point.
Right.
I'd say once you get to like £2,000, it's more a preference or a specific need for that equipment.
Right.
But like a $60 mic and a $500 mic have such a stark difference.
Right. I remember when I was researching, doing a podcast, I saw a 1999 mic.
Yeah.
Doesn't that do the same thing?
It's not. It's depending on how deep you go. The price really does reflect the quality.
Reflect the quality. Okay.
For music. Yeah.
All right. Okay. That's cool. Okay. So we've got the studio. Okay, and then you got all the equipment in the studio. How do you find the artists? I mean, sorry. Let me rewind. How do you? What are the charges for studio time?
For studio time,
yes.
If you're starting out as an engineer, I'll say 20 to 25 an hour.
Okay.
Depending. So for studio time, I'd say for the engineer, you'd pay 20 to like 25 for like a starting out engineer per hour, and then for studio time, it depends. It depends on the quality of the studio, but there's studios that go from like 300 and 2 hours.
300
for 2 hours.
For 2 hours.
But
wow.
Yeah, if you're talking like major artists, they book out blocks, so they book out days. Really? So it could easily be £6,000.
Right.
To book out one studio for 2 days.
So I would imagine that the artists themselves don't have the finances to finance all to pay for these things.
Yeah, that's why people sign label deals. It's mostly about funding. To sign label deals, mostly about funding and reach. Those are the two main factors.
Really? Funding and reach.
Yeah.
What do you mean by it?
Reach is in brand deals, their connection with venues, their ability to get you on stages.
Okay.
Like a lot of people look at the Grammys and these award shows like, oh, it's a celebration of the artist. If you don't have a connection to get you there,
Right.
most of the time you're not going to get there. I'll give an example, like the recent VMAs.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the artists you see, like Nicki Minaj, Taylor Swift, all of them,
Mm-hmm.
if they're performing at the VMAs,
Right.
the only reason they're performing is because they're guaranteed to win an award.
Really.
Even if you go to artists like Beyonce, Jay-Z,
Yeah.
even for them to show up, we already have a pre-existing knowledge that we're going to win
Right.
whatever category.
Why else would we be there?
Or why else would we be there? So
Right.
a lot of behind the scenes stuff happen where there's negotiations to get these people there because they know if these people are there, people will tune in.
Right.
So the artist is like, I need the award for best album of the year, best song of the year, if I'm even gonna show up.
Right.
And that's how a lot of that stuff works. Or simply labels.
But surely they must have earned it by the records that
They do make good music, but it's selling records is more about a popularity game. It's more of a popularity game.
Okay.
There's so many artists that make great music that just if people aren't interested in your story,
Mm-hmm.
then they're not even gonna tune into the music.
Okay.
So a lot of this stuff is like PR, it's forward facing stuff that they invest into.
Wow.
It gets really deep when you. I'm kind of a nerd, so I kind of pay up attention to.
Oh really?
It
I like nerds.
It gets really deep when you talk about the behind the scenes stuff and just the label powers, because back in the day, I'll say it's different today because we have social media.
Okay.
But back in the day, like the mystique of an artist was very important, right? So you wouldn't hear from artists.
Right.
The only time you would hear from an artist is if they go on radio,
Okay.
or if they go
On stage, on the tour.
on stage or something like that.
Yeah.
And then you need a record label because the record label can get you on radio.
Right.
Whereas independently, you might not be able to get on the radio because the radio is looking at you like, who are you?
Right. Okay.
So you'd get on the radio like you would get on Capital,
Mm.
you'd get on BBC or whatever it is, whatever platform it is,
Mm-hmm.
and they would be the ones that have the relationship to facilitate that.
Okay.
Or they could even block you if you're not signed to them. They can block you from having that access.
Really?
So a lot of people opt to be in
To jump into bed with the labels.
into bed because it's favorable.
Right. But surely there must be an alternative to it. Apart from having the finance, what other alternatives are there? You know, I mean, nowadays you have all these digital platforms that that you can
Independence.
use. Yeah.
I feel like as time goes on, as social media grows,
Mm-hmm.
as people's access to music and streaming
Yeah.
makes it easier for people to access music. To be independent is easier today than it was.
Right.
Because when you look at music, I'm mainly talking from like hip hop and stuff like that. But if you look at music in general,
Yeah.
every genre,
Mm-hmm.
music started in the hands of the cartel,
Right.
in the hands of the mafia.
Right.
Because you'd have a popular artist that's performing, let's go all the way back to, they're performing at speakeasies, they're doing blues, jazz, they're just performing at shows. They're hired by the venue to perform at the show.
Right.
People would come, they'd buy drinks
Right.
because they came to see the artist.
Yeah.
And it then got to the point where people were getting really famous.
Right.
And
Because people can see the talent in them.
people can see the talent.
Yeah.
So the mafia is making illegal money. If they invest in an artist and say that the artist is making this money for us,
Right.
they're able to wash the money and make it legal. So they
Mm.
started investing in artists
Right.
and saying we can offer you protection.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not in bed with us, you can't perform because we control the clubs, we control the bars, the speakeasies, and they're not going to.
So they own the clubs,
and then
more or less.
They own them.
Yeah.
Not even that they own them. The owners would be scared of
All right. Okay.
retaliation
Okay.
and stuff like
Yes.
that.
Okay.
So then when it got to like those old like jukeboxes where they had the the mafia was involved in the distribution of that.
Wow.
Yeah, so all of this stuff where you're seeing where does the funding come from? The reason most of these labels are so big is because where they started was mafia funding.
Right.
And then it just as we got CDs, cassettes, streaming, they just went with them. All these labels like are founded by like back if you track them back.
See that's the essence of business. I like what you just said, but we can't blame them for being that way.
Yeah.
The essence of business is you need to recognize at each stage when to diversify. You diversify your business, because if you don't diversify, if you stick to one formula, you're gonna become irrelevant.
Yeah, some of the richest people in history have been criminal masterminds.
Yeah,
they've been criminal masterminds.
Right.
But that's how it all started. That's why you see like
them got business savvy. They got business wise, didn't they?
But it's only been
they went into clothing, clothing brands.
It's only in recent years that they started to get business savvy.
Right.
I'll quickly talk about something.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of mafia and stuff like that.
Yeah.
In between there.
Mm-hmm.
They would sign artists.
Well, let's call them cartel. Because when people hear mafia, they think of the Italian mafia. Yeah. Let's just call them a cartel. Yes. So a cartel is a form of business organization. Yeah.
So one thing they did, I just want people to understand where I'm coming from.
Okay.
One thing they did is they would sign an artist.
Right.
And most of these artists are like illiterate or they lack schooling.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's how people started to get into music, because they didn't have anything else.
Well, they have nothing else to do than to use the talent, their God-given talent.
So they would make them sign deals, and in those deals, they would also take out life insurance policies on artists.
Right.
And they would use that as a way to blackmail the artists.
Right.
And if
that they got their life in their hands.
Yeah. And if the artist dies or something happens, because they've taken a life insurance policy out on the artist, they're able to cash out on the artist dying.
Well, obviously it's got to be natural death, not.
and also they're able to bank off of the sales will skyrocket when an artist dies.
Right.
Because things will become more rare because there's no more music coming out, CDs, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that, and most of their money is made on the back end, the streaming, the record sales, all of that. So they're invested in that rather than the person. They're invested in the product. They're invested in the product more than that.
Okay.
So when somebody records the original recording, it's called the master.
Right.
And the person who holds the master is like it's like a certificate, a stamp that this is my record.
Oh.
So all the money that's being made is made on the master recording.
Okay.
That's where they print the records from. That's where that's where all the copies are made, from the master.
From the master. Okay.
And whoever has possession of the master has the rights to the song. So when you sign a record deal,
right,
they have possessions of the masters you made while in that deal.
Don't you have to give them the right to do that anyway?
Yeah, that's part of the deals.
Right.
You give them the right to the masters.
Okay.
And that's how they make their money. So they make their money from your streaming, from your performance,
right,
royalties.
Hold that thought. That's getting quite interesting. Okay.